Carl Paladino is running for Congress, coming out of the state of New York, and he is just one of the most wild, far-right Republican candidates I've seen in a long time. So he's in hot water recently for something, but he has kind of a pattern of getting in hot water for stuff like this. So he called for the execution of Merrick Garland, or said possibly that should happen. And of course, then he tried to play it off like once he got pressed on it, I was being facetious, but we'll show you the moment and you can judge. But when preparing for this story, I came across all of the other wild things he said, and I'll kind of give you that as context for the main part of this story. So first, he thinks we need an inspirational leader like, wait, yes, Hitler. Hitler. When thinking about which leader you should compare to, or compare who we need in this moment to, saying that we need an inspirational leader like Hitler is not where I would go to. Let's listen from him.
I was thinking the other day about somebody had mentioned on the radio Adolf Hitler and how he aroused the crowds. I mean, he'd get up there screaming these epithets, and these people were just they were hypnotized by him. I guess that's the kind of leader we need today. We need somebody inspirational. We need somebody that is a doer, has been there and done it, so that it's not a strange new world.
That's the kind of leader we need today, says Carl Paladino. Now, this man is not just some random person running who has no chance. This man got the endorsement of the third most powerful Republican in the House of Representatives, Elise Stefanik. Elise Stefanik endorsed him. What are we talking about? She's the third leadership position, the third most powerful leadership position in the Republican Party in the House. And she endorsed him. We're going to show you more in a second here. But there are so many people you can cite when saying we need an inspirational leader. A very easy one that people love to quote all the time. And, you know, Republicans think that it applies to their ideology. Democrats think this person applies to their ideology. Just say Martin Luther King, an inspirational leader. Don't have to go to Hitler. People were very aroused and inspired by many speakers throughout history. And so to me, it's not what he's saying with the fact by itself that I have an issue with. Because did Hitler like draw big crowds and get big cheers and whatever? Sure. That's not what I'm taking issue with. It's the decision to invoke Hitler when making that point, right? So if you're doing like an analysis of Hitler, it would be perfectly fine to say he inspired the crowds that were in front of him, right? Or he aroused the crowds. That would be fine. Or he was a good rhetorical, delivered rhetorically very effectively. Sure. And use that, of course, to do mass devastation. But you deciding, when Hitler wasn't a part of the conversation already, to bring him into it, to make a point that you can make separately, tells me about where your mind's at. When you think of what type of leader we need, you think Hitler, based on his inspirational vibe. No. I think you make a conscious choice to do that, and you know why you're doing it. I really do believe that. You don't accidentally invoke Hitler and go, no, wait, I was just trying to make a different point. Wait. No, you know what you're doing. Okay, and then he also said that Michelle Obama should return to being a male. There's a conspiracy on the right on the far conspiracy right, that Michelle Obama was once a man. And he also said she should, let loose in the outback of Zimbabwe, and compared her to a gorilla. So racist as well. And again, this is not me saying, oh, let's go find one tiny little thing in his past that he accidentally said. No. This is a long line of him showing the hate he has in his heart, and the racism that's in his heart. And if y'all know me, I don't throw around the word racist a lot. I know the conception from conservatives is that liberals kind of just call everyone racist. So because of that, I make a concerted effort not to do that, and only when it's very obvious and very blatant. And comparing a black woman to a gorilla is very blatant and very obvious. And I think that's a fair place to call somebody racist. Can we all agree on that? Usually I'll just explain what they said and explain why it's racist without just being like, they're a racist. But I feel like in this case scenario, he's a racist. Okay, so that brings us to the current moment. What is he in hot water for now? Well, he said that Garland not only needs to be impeached, but probably executed. And then when he's pressed on it, he says he was being facetious. But in the moment we're in, where FBI agents, their families, judges' families are all being harassed and violently threatened, and even members trying to take violent actions towards them because of the lies being spread based on the raid of Mar-a-Lago. Saying this, even if you want to pretend later that you weren't being serious, is absolutely dangerous, and you should be held accountable for it, at least in the public's eye. So let's take a look at that.
An administration of people like Garland, okay, who should be not only impeached, he probably should be executed. The guy is just lost. He's a lost soul. He's trying to get an image, and his image is his methodology.
Okay, so then he goes on. He should probably be executed. Now again, when pressed on it, he said that he was being facetious, but the tone of his voice was not obvious. If you're going to make a killing somebody joke, you got to make it, really obvious in the moment that that's what you're doing. Like, be belly laughing while you're saying it. And still, I don't think you should do that. Especially, again, within the context of all of the violent threats we're seeing go towards people like Merrick Garland, the judge who signed off on the warrant, the FBI agents, etc. There is violent ambitions within the movement that this guy wants to lead. And so him evoking that language is, in my mind, purposeful, and he knows what he's doing. He knows it'll hype up his listeners, and then later, if he gets in any trouble, he can pretend he wasn't being serious. So, wow. This guy, endorsed by one of the most powerful Republicans in the House, is a complete nut, a complete Looney Tunes person, and should not be in Congress. I think we all should be able to agree on that.